no less than 100 of these training sessions. And every one I do, it gets better than the last. So you're going to get the best one. And I can say this has been the biggest crowds I have ever had in here. And so we're going to go along. We're going to start with the introductions to how the Monogram Wizard works. How many people do not have the Wizard? Oh, good, 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 good. Okay? So we can do that. In the first class I did, there was only half a dozen or so. Okay? So we're going to go along with this here. And I'll show you basically how the Wizard works. Then we'll go into more power user type stuff. Things that a lot of the people in here that have had Monogram Wizard for a while, we're going to see light bulbs go on. I didn't know that. And I love to see those. If you take a look, this is the Monogram Wizard here. If you notice something that's missing up here, there's no file, edit, control, or anything like that. Everything is on one screen. Everything is here. You do not have to traverse menus or anything like that to find where this other option is. Everything is right here. And we call it poke friendly. You do not have to do things in any sequence. You can do things in any sequence that you want. The only thing that you have to do at the end is save it to send it to your sewing machine. You can't do that first. You have to get some other stuff done. So, first of all, we'll start at the bottom here. And what I did was move the cursor down here to letter 1. Now, I usually get really creative when I put in letters here. And we have CRM. The only thing I did was just type those in, each one of the boxes, and moved it over, and we have it on the screen. Now, let's move up to the top. And these are our fonts that we have. The Monogram Wizard Plus comes stock with 55 different fonts preloaded into it. And you can just, what I'm doing is just turning the little wheel on the mouse. Now I'm in here. You can go all the way down and select them all the way down to the bottom. Now, the next thing, up here, we have 18 different monogram styles. And those are buttons. And a little icon tells you the sequence of the letters and the shape that it's going to go in. So if we come here, we click and it slants up. Click here and it slants down. We click here and a small letter, big letter, small letter with letter 3 in the center. Slant them up, stair step them up, stair step them down, slant them. This right here, stair steps them down, overlaps and puts 3 in the center. Vertical, small, big, small, aligned on the bottom, aligned on the top. This one here aligns them on the side. Now we get into the next 5 here, and these are distortions. What we do is we take the design and mathematically force it into the shape. Now, some fonts go better than others. Some fonts have what we call unequal aspect ratios. You know, the M is a lot longer than the I, and that could distort it. If they're equal, it works very well with these. So we'll come here. And that. So that's simple as we got. If we want to go back to normal, back to here. Now, so we showed how to do this. The next thing here, it comes stock with about 150 different motifs that you can add with your design. So let's come here, and we'll come over into here. We picked the pack, and this pack has about 15 or 18 in it, and we'll pick number 7. And we'll set the size right here to 3, and let's step them down. Okay? And now, let's locate them a little bit. We'll nudge them over to the right. Take that, put it in the corner of a placemat, and you're good to go. Okay? Now, so far, the only thing we did was just click and select letters and fonts.
What did the 5 do?
Okay, we'll get down to that. I just wanted to do that here in a second. Okay. Now, yes?
Is your grade set up
Half inch. Okay. Now, also in here, if you look down, what we got here is sizing information here. This one right here is 5.5 inches wide and 3 inches tall. Let's get rid of the motif for a second. We'll move this back up here. Come here, and now we'll remove all of our parameters. And we've got this. Now we get down into more finer controls. All of our fonts and all of our motifs are completely scalable. You can make them any size that you want. If somebody here could sew a 3-foot monogram, we'd make it. Okay? If you can sew a 1/2 inch monogram, we will make it with the same letters. You can make them any size that you want. We'll come into here. These are 1 inch. We can make them 2 inches. We can make them a 1/2 inch. What the Monogram Wizard Plus does is recomputes each individual stitch each time that character is manipulated. We put the exact right amount of stitches in there every time. There's nothing here. I'll give the question up here front was, you have to do density or anything like that. You don't have to do that. That is all calculated by the Monogram Wizard. Completely calculated. Now, how many people understand density? Okay, let me give you a quick explanation to it. What we have here is density is set as how close the stitches are to one another. Here, when you have a density setting on a satin stitch. So let me give you, for instance, if you have a 1 inch capital I, just a stick that goes up and down, and we'll say the density there is 60 stitches an inch. So therefore, we would have 60 stitches in that eye. If we made it a 2 inch eye and come up, we keep the same density, 60 stitches per inch, but we would double the number of stitches. That would be obvious. It would go on up there. We'd have 120 stitches in there, okay? What the Monogram Wizard does, it does that. It'll calculate and redo the stitches. However, here, there's another thing that the Wizard does. We take a look at this R, and you notice the width of the satin stitch changes. from being narrow here, increasing, decreasing, and going around. As the width of a satin stitch increases, a good digitizer will change the densities at that point. Will increase the densities as the stitch gets wider and decrease it as the stitch gets more narrow. The Monogram Wizard does that automatically for you. It calculates those. You don't have to worry about density at all on there. Yes?
What about the different fabrics? How does it tell the different?
It's, the density is set, and it's going to work pretty well with any type of fabric. Now, doing the different type of fabrics takes more knowledge than computer work. Okay, we teach another course that's called the Taming of the Stitch, where we talk about the impact of thread on fabric. Now, if you watch the website, we're going to be having that on our website, and you'll be able to webcast it also, and take a look at it there. Now, that is done all automatically for you, so you don't even have to think about it. It's all done back here with a heck of a lot of mathematics. Now,
Can I ask a question?
sure.
Are density and boldness the same
No,
thing?
no. And we'll get to that. Right now, I have to reshift and get the right letter on the screen with the right font. Okay, get it so we can see. Now, what I am doing right here, again, I was manipulating letter size. This parameter right here. That tells you the size, the nominal size of the letter that you're trying to get to. Now, you can go there explicitly by coming in and typing in a size that you want. Or you can use the up and down arrows here and nudge it into a size. If you had a motif there that you were trying to fill, and try, instead of guessing, you just keep nudging it up until it looks good inside of the motif. That's letter size. The next parameter here is grid size. And all these are in feet and inches. Okay, we'll just say inches. Now, if one thinks in metric, you can switch it to metric. How many people think in metric? Neither do I, okay? All right, so we stay with what we've got here. So we've got everything in inches. Now, the grid size set here is 1/2 inch. You can change it if you want. The next person that changes the grid size will be the first. It's just not done, okay? So in a future release, that's going to be leaving here. It'll be, you'll be able to set it in a preference and just leave it go like that. It's not really that important. Now we're up to boldness. Now, boldness affects the width of the satin stitch. Here. We take a look here. Let's come find my cursor. And what I'm going to do is decrease the boldness. You see what's happening to the letter? Okay? The strokes of the letter are becoming more narrow. You come up and do it. To bring the strokes of the letter more narrow would be to just change the appearance of the letter. Basically, if you're going to make the strokes less, to make it look more delicate if you want. But the reason is to increase the boldness. What you are doing when you sew a satin stitch on a piece of fabric, you have your needle come down penetrate through the fabric, comes up with the thread and goes to the other side. So essentially what you're doing with a satin stitch is tying a knot around that piece of fabric. And as that knot closes and that stitch finalizes, it's going to squeeze the fabric here. And the stitch is going to be more narrow, or narrower if that's a word, more narrow than originally planned. Now, how much more narrow is it going to be? That's dependent on two things. On what you're sewing on, how much it's going to give, and the tensions on your machine. More tensions on your machine is obviously going to squeeze it tighter. More fabric give is going to allow it to give more. All right? So if you sew on polar fleece, sometimes put that in there, you get finished, you say, I swear there was something here. There were letters there. They're almost disappeared. Okay, so what you do on the front end with the wizard is you can increase the boldness, which exaggerates the width of the satin stitch. So when it goes down and hits that fabric and begins to pull, it goes back to where it's planned. Now, how much should you increase it? Okay, well, you're now getting into another area there like prunes. Is 2 enough or is 3 too many? Okay? So, it's a point there, okay, where you have to know your machine and you have to know your fabric. It's going to be different for everybody. Let me give you a couple rules of thumb. If you're sewing on jersey knits, interlock knits, or piqué knits, those are most of the knits that you're going to be doing. And I'm talking about jersey knits or t-shirts. Interlock knits is jersey finished on both sides. Those are very fine. Those are probably very good garments if you have an interlock knit like that. Piqué knits are the mesh knits. All right? You're going to have to go increase it 20%. Increase this to 120. If you are doing polar fleece, you know, blankets, things like that, that's fleece, you can go up to 130. Terry cloth, towels. If you're doing inexpensive towels, if you part the hairs on there and look at what you got, almost all of that's air. So you're going to get a lot of give. You go up to 130, maybe even 135 on there. Plush towels, you can get away with 125 on that. And then that'll come and make the stitch come back down to where it should have been to begin with. Another word for that is pull compensation. I don't know if you've ever heard that word around. But if anybody kind of says that to you right now, you know what it means. It's not magic. I don't like to use jargon terms like that. Now, let's come back down to here. And we'll go back down to 100% boldness here. Now, let me start again here. Remember what I said before. As the width of the satin stitch increases, what should a good digitizer do? Increase the density. Right here, we have a stitch count right now at 555 stitches on that one letter. Watch this as we increase the boldness. See how the stitch count is going up? That means because the density is increasing. The size of the letter is not getting any bigger. It's just the width of the satin stitch. That's how you can see that changing. Okay, now, the next is letter width. Okay?
Where'd you push this now? To refresh your screen.
Just move the cursor. Okay, now, we got the focus right now on the names box, clicking that button, and we got Christopher in there. And what we have here is a size at 1 inch, I think. It is. Okay, now, what we have here on the length is 8.7 inches, a little over 8 5/8 inches. And we got a 5x7 hoop. Something ain't gonna make it. Okay? But we want a 1-inch letter. So now we can come over to letter width. And what this does is like you put your hands on each side of the letter and start squeezing them together. And we're going to start decreasing. And now we got it down to 6.5. We have 1-inch high letters, and this maintain basic integrity of that font. It still appears the same. Okay? And like it again, all the stitches have been recalculated. So everything is a bit better here on this. So that's what the letter width does. So if you're trying to get letters into a exact size, I want 1-inch letters that fit in 6.5 inches. You can manipulate these like this. I had a lady with emails, and it took 5 or 6 emails back and forth. She was trying to do it the other way. She was trying to set the width and make them go high. No, that's not the way. We're doing it the other way. Until she finally came out and said, okay, I have to tell you my true hair color now, okay? And I said, no. But anyway, that's how you do this. That's what letter width does. I beg your pardon?
How's that different from turning?
Okay, we'll get to that. That is, okay? You can do the same thing with kerning, okay? All right. Now, I have my assistant here that drops me into the next topic here. That's okay. That's fine. That's fine. Bye. Okay, we're back up to 100. And now, and we're going to come to one of our first aha moments here. So, okay. We have Atlanta up here on the screen. The next box down is kerning. I said I did not like to use printing or jargon terms, but technical terms on here, but there was no other way. Kerning means the distance between letters. It's this distance right here. And when you kern letters, you can change that distance. Okay, now try to put that in a title. Okay, and there was just no way, so we had to use kerning. If we increase the kerning, watch what happens. The letters begin to move together. Right now we got them so that they're overlapping. So we bring it back down to 1. And that is pretty well close enough. But if we take a look here, right here, we have a little space here, and it's coming around. But if we look here, between the A and the T, there's a lot of white space. They didn't close up good. But under further inspection here, if we take our cursor and put it here at the T and drop it down, they're okay. All right? So here's what we're going to do. We're going to put the cursor between the T and the A. You see where I did this right here? Now I'm going to type in what everybody calls it here is a secret. Okay? I typed in a less than sign. Right here. A less than sign, which is a shift, comma, or shift period, one of the two. Let me come back here. No, I still can't tell. Shift, comma. Okay? I put that right there. If you look at that as an arrowhead, it kind of says, move things in that direction. See how that nudged them over? There we have light bulbs going on.
Do that again, please.
Okay, right here. Can you see that? Okay? It's a less than sign. And what it's really saying is nudge the rest of the word over. That way. And it moved over. Now if you take a look at the T and the A, they overlap one another. They really overlap. But it infringed on white space. So it looks good. That's how you turn the letters in. That's what I'm going to do right now. Okay, here we go. Another shift. And there we have it. So now they all look good here. Okay, you can do the same thing up in initials. You can put some initials in and one initial looks away from the other. Stick these in, it'll nudge them over, okay?
How do you do it in the initials?
Same way. Put it right there before the one that you wanted to move.
I guess your question is,
Yeah,
the initials
in the
are
box.
this box.
You can put a lot in there. Here we go. Yeah, we're going to do that in a minute. Okay, now, here we have it there. See right here? I'm going to put one in.
You see that?
No, I don't. She claimed I have plants back here. Okay, that's good. Now, back to here. See this along the secret characters, okay? Let's do another one. I'm going to put one here right after, yes. Oh, yes, yes. That's in the, all of this is in the user's guide, okay? Oh, no, no. You have to be the only one that has it.
Have you looked at the user's guide?
Yeah, I know, it's on the CD.
I didn't know they had on the CD.
Yeah, I saw that you're not alone. There is a statement in there. It says, if you see this call, we'll give you $100. We've never had to give the $100 away.
Ha ha ha.
Okay, now, what I did here is I put the cursor right after our first funny character here. I'm going to type in another one. This one is a shift 6. Shift 6, which gives you a caret. You know, caret, okay? Now, when we refresh the screen, it puts in a color change for you.
Care about that color. We could cut that. Yeah, you could change it out on the jeans.
What I told you, you were going to get aha moments. She stops it and switches it over to another needle, okay? Okay.
I don't load.
When we locate the place where we want the color change to be, okay, and do a shift 6.
Oh, it is.
I beg your pardon? Yeah, right.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
tell me what
Well,
you mean.
it with the, now, do you have a
Yeah.
multi-needle machine? Yeah, multi-needle machine. You'll program in the changes, and it'll automatically go.
What time?
It'll stop. It'll stop. Right.
This one. We'll get through 5 o'clock.
Well, that's already been done for you.
5.
Okay? Right here, we have the color sequence pattern. And it's going in order of this right here. This is the next thing where people claim that they can't change colors on the screen. Okay, so here is the color sequence. So what letter is going to show first in Atlanta? This is the first A. And what color is it going to be? So the light blue. And what's the next one? It's medium blue, and the next one is green. All right, so let's change the green. So we come down to green, and we click on the green. What color should we make it?
Okay.
How about purple? Okay. All right, and how
Okay.
about the medium blue?
Right, bye.
How about if we do orange?
Okay.
We got to get 3 colors that don't go together good, okay? And so we come down here.
That's
We'll do
usually
this.
to make that part.
There we go, okay? That's all there is to doing the color sequencing on here.
That would be nice to know if you need it. Oh, yeah.
Okay, all right. The question here, okay? The question here is, does that suffice as a trim in here, okay, of what we're doing? There are jump stitches between each one of the letters here, okay? Now, the rules of the Monogram Wizard is it'll make a lock before a jump, and it will make a lock on the first after a jump. It'll put lock stitches in there. Okay? So, if you trim in between the letters, you have locks. It won't unravel. Now, if you are doing commercial work, how many people were doing commercial work? Okay? Now, if you're running names like this, okay, a trim on your machine equals 100 stitches. That's how long it takes to execute a trim. So you could have sewed 100 stitches in that time. You have 11 letters that you're sewing. There's 1,000 stitches worth of trims that you have between those two. So what it would behoove you to do is to turn those letters so that they're as close as they can, because all of these are called closest point connect letters. The stitch goes at the closest point and disable trims. So it just sews straight across, and you just leave those threads. Okay? So you can do that. Remind me when I get to the other secret controls, okay, on how to do that, okay? All right. Well, let's see here. How long does this class go to?
3 hours.
3 Well, we can try, okay? We can try.
That's so good.
Okay. Now, here we're going in to, no, we're going to go into this next one here first. When you take a design and you take it over to your embroidery machine, you take a PES file, you take a DST file, an EXP file, anything like that, into your sewing machine. What is in that file, in all of these various formats that these manufacturers come up with, is a command that says, first, move the hoop so far to the right or the left. All right, so your machine is sitting down there, okay, what am I going to do? And you say, run this design. It says, okay, what's the first thing? Move the hoop this far to the right. I said, okay, I did that. What's next? Move it so far to the front. Okay, I did that. Now what? Drop the needle. Needle comes down. What to do next? Well, move it over to the left. Okay, now what? To the back. Drop the needle. And it does that over and over and over and over again until your design's finished and you look, you say, oh, it says it there. Your machine does not know it's sewing satin stitches. Your machine does not know it's sewing fill stitches. The only thing it knows is moving that hoop back and forth and dropping that needle up and down. That's all. That's all that's in there. And the way that your machine moves, it moves in tenths of millimeters. All right? Now, I don't care. You can have the most elementary machine, only a little 4x4 hoop. It's going to move to the accuracy of a tenth of a millimeter. My multi-head Tajima machines, what accuracy do you think they move to? A tenth of a millimeter. They all move to that accuracy. So that does not change regardless of what machine that you have. Now that's all that's in that file. So if you want to bring that file back in to the Monogram wizard, okay, because you misspelt Atlanta, or because Atlanta was too wide, or because Atlanta was not tall enough, there is no data there that we can do anything with. Remember, it does not know it's sewing a satin stitch, much less the letter A. Okay, so when you go out there and you take this and you go sew it, and you're going to sew your test run. Because there are two types of people in this world. Those that sew test runs and those that wish they had. Okay, so now we go ahead and we're sewing Atlanta. Now, we take the file, we go on over here to our sewing machine. What's going to happen to that computer when we turn our back? The cats are going to walk across it, kids are going to come, let me check my email, and poof, your design's gone. Hopefully you remember what you did. Chances are, like me, there's not a chance. So here's what we have here. See where I put the mouse and it just moved? This button right here, it says Style. We're going to come here and we're going to click Style. And it says here, select the existing style that you wish to change or enter a new style name. So we're going to enter a style name here and we're going to call it ATL Multicolor. And we're going to save this. So now we're off sewing our sample and somebody comes here and the wizard's gone. But because we did the style, we can come here and I'm over here at style control. And I got ATL MC. Bing, 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 bing. Okay. There's another one. Okay? So you can save those all. Okay? Now, always been there. See, did you get the $100? Okay. Now, how many of these can you save? Too many. You know, so don't load them up. Here's what you do. Here's what you do. You set one up that's called WIP. And that'll sort to the bottom. And that stands for work in progress. So anytime you finish one that you're going to do, come down here and save it in work in progress. And what you would do here is this. You would come up and hit your style, and you say select the ones that you wish to change, and you come up, and I don't know, I might have a WIP. I do. I have a WIP in here. So I just save it right into that and say save. And so that's always in there. Then, if you get like we'll do next here, you get a neat looking design, okay? You say, ooh, I'm going to save that so I can restore it and just change the letters in there and use it again. Okay, if you get one like that, you say neat towel design or something and save it like that. Yes, ma'am?
So does that serve the purpose of the file name or fold people more in?
You just save it there. No, it stays with the wizard forever.
But is that a folder you're adding things to?
Yeah.
Or you keep writing on top of it?
No, it's a folder you're adding things to, and it's in the Monogram Wizard folder. He keeps track of them in there for you, okay?
Okay, yeah.
Okay, all right. Yes, you can. We'll see, we'll come down here, and we'll say we're going to go to this one, and we're going to go ATL script, and we're going to delete it. Okay? Save makes the design for your sewing machine. Okay? It converts them into left, right, down, okay? All right? In here. So, that's what we got with there. So now you can set up here like that. And then the next question I have is, well, how can I get rid of what I have on the screen? Okay? And I said, well, what we saved for you here was a design, was a style that says clear. That set things all back to normal. Okay, you go to style control to clear your screen, set things all the way back. There's a style in there that says clear. And just click that. Okay, now, what we have here is later tabs going across the top of the screen. What this means is that you've done something on a piece of paper, you've drawn on there. Well, I need something else. You take another piece of tracing paper and lay it over the top. And you can draw more there. Okay? So all of a sudden you can start working with multiple fonts or multiple motifs on there. And you do those on each one of the layers. So let's start here. And we're going to come in and we'll stick an M. And now we'll come down to the best looking M in the free world. Here. Okay? Now, as far as monograms are concerned, I don't like rules. I like to make designs better than monograms. I like to come in there and almost build a logo, if we said it was the same. And a lot of times the letters kind of talk to me on what they want. Like this M right here says I need something above those two pearls there. So let's try this. We'll come over to layer 2 and we'll type in the letter R. And we got an R. Let's select another font. And we'll do Sydney. Let's make it smaller. We'll go to 1.6. Let's make it narrow. We're going to do this to it. And let's slant it up and let's see what we have. Then we'll go down to the external features thing and we'll click this and we'll drag him right to here.
Where's external features?
Yeah.
Okay,
This,
gotcha.
what I just did with the click and drag is with the extended features. That's not with the standard Monogram Wizard Plus. Okay, you would do this. See, if you wanted to move it, That's where I moved this 5 the other time and used the nudge keys. 5 moves him in big chunks. 1 moves him in small chunks. So if I wanted to adjust it to a fine, I'd move it down to 1. And then just nudging just a bit. Nudge right there, okay? Good. What? That's standard. That's all in stop. Now we're going to go over to layer 3. And what do we need? We need the counterpart on the other side. Okay? And that initial is going to be a K. And now we go get the same corresponding Sydney here. Okay, remember what size we made it? 1.6, I think. Okay, and to use the technical term, we scrunched it up to 60. Okay, this one we want to move, we want to slant down. And drag it over to here. Okay? Now we'll take a look at them in all, so we can see all. And let's change some colors. Let's get them all the same color. There we have it. Okay? Now. Okay? Now, that gives more of a design on there. Okay? And how long did it take? Okay? There was only 6 steps in there. Okay? To do that. The letters are like, if you have a letter T that comes out, the letter T says, hey, stick 2 things underneath here, okay? All right? The letter J says, hey, put something right in here, okay? You know, and start going. And use different fonts. Now, one thing, if you go to our website, write this down, needleheads.com.
I did.
And you'll see a list of tabs that go across. You'll see one that says the sewing studio. Go to there. And you will see a picture up at the top of the screen. And the picture says, get personal. And it's got about 50 to 75 monograms on it. Click on it. It'll fill the screen. And then if you click on a monogram on there, it'll open a PDF file that gives you step by step by step by step instructions on how to make that. We call those inspirograms. This one is on there. Okay? Now, I can't take a lot of credit for this, okay? What this is this is very, very appealing. And if you go home and you Google golden rectangle, all of a sudden stuff is going to pop up that you never even thought of, okay? There is a proportion with what's called the golden rectangle that all art is based on. The Mona Lisa, the Parthenon, logos like you wouldn't believe is on there. And I can take and draw the golden rectangle all over that monogram. Right there. With the proportions in there. And you can say, ah, yeah. The M is, if you take the golden rectangle and turn it the other way, the 2 adjoining ones are like that, okay? That's what makes this so good. You go there and start taking a look at it, it's there. If you email me, just for the people in this class, okay? If you email me, chris@needleheads.com, I'll send you a motif that you can put in your monogram wizard. That's the golden rectangle. And you can put that on the screen and put things in it, okay? Yes? Yeah.
Is that
It was that sheet, the question is she has the Monogram Wizard Plus Janome Special Edition. And what that is, that comes loaded with a lot of fonts. And you can import external designs. Okay? Okay. You can't do the extended features with it. You can't upgrade it today. You gotta click and drag. Okay. Now, later on you'll be able to. We'll make an upgrade for you. Okay? Yes? Well, no. If you make the letter too big, it'll transfer into fill stitches automatically. Or you can override it on the bottom. We'll go over this real quick because I think I'm over time here. Okay? Right here, see the satin and fill buttons? You can change them to whatever you want. If you want this to be fill stitching, you just click here and everything gets changed to fill. If you want it back to satin, you can do it in satin. Okay? Yes?
I guess a suggestion. I get really frustrated when I'm looking for a font and
This guy doesn't have,
doesn't have any lowercase. Is there any way that you can denote maybe with an asterisk or something?
you can do that yourself if you want. Okay? Just go into the folder and rename the file. Put an asterisk in front. Go into Monogram Alphabets folder in your Monogram Wizard and rename the fonts. Yeah, okay? All right. Okay, yes.
What was that again?
What? Okay, as you're stepping through the Monogram fonts on here, and you have lowercase on the screen, you're going to hit one that says, hey, this don't have lowercase. Okay? So you like them stacked all together, okay? You can go in and rename your fonts. You know, you have the ones that have lowercase and make X on those or something, and they'll all group together. Okay. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. All the time. No, you just download it and, go get the new font.
You know what I'm saying? Still didn't know.
Okay, here's the one we got to do here, okay? This one's got to go. It looks like we got a big Q out here. A lot of times when you're sewing large letters, you can have a dimple in the center, okay? The reason for that is there is a limit on the stitch length that your machine can make. It's like your stride is only 2 feet. Now, if you got a mud puddle that's 3 feet across, you're going to get a wet foot. That's what's happening here. Write this down. You type Control D, D as in Delta, anytime before you save your file. And if it finds that stitch in there, it'll remove that dimple by making a jump stitch. Those of you that have multi-needle machines, no problem. None whatsoever. Those that have single needle machines, you have a 90% chance of it doing well. If your bobbin tension is a little tight, it might loop. But chances are it'll be okay going across there. Control D, yes. Before you save it.
Everybody in here, there's a Monogram Wizard group that someone started, I'm not sure who. But we all get together and talk about this and help each other. It's on Facebook. Join the Monogram Wizard Plus group.
On Facebook.
Monogram Wizard Plus. And
You just went to lunch and I hope it's recorded. It's blinking, so I don't know.
Okay, how do you get designs for your machine right now? How? No, but what medium? Do you put them on a jump drive? Send it directly to your machine?